Redfall marketed itself in a really weird manner. From everything that I saw, I expected the game to be another Left 4 Dead clone, maybe with some live service garbage attached to it. Until the moment I started it, I still didn't have a good grasp on what the game actually was. I can safely say now that Redfall is not a horde shooter that wants to grab you by the throat with multiple battle passes and time-limited content. It's actually much closer to something like Dying Light, State of Decay, or Dead Island, just with vampires instead of zombies. The game's open-world structure is done really well. You have the map unlocked from the beginning, free to go wherever you want. No need to climb radio towers or complete specific missions, just go wherever and do whatever. Redfall's map is very dense and full of hidden areas, caves, and more. Things have been placed in a way that just makes sense. There are safes and guns behind supermarket counters, sniper rifles on vantage points, and items in the trunks of abandoned cars. It would be easy to simply copy and paste the same buildings around the map like a lot of open-world games do, but every place in Redfall feels handcrafted. Each house looks different on the inside, and we can almost piece together how the family was attacked and tried to deal with the vampires. From the smallest details, like picture frames that were knocked over, most likely as someone tried to get up in a hurry, to rooms that are completely covered in blood, hinting that a family member got backed up against the wall and couldn't escape their attacker. Each house is a little story on its own of how the vampires are slaughtering humans without a care in the world. And the fact that there are so many of these hidden places on the map is staggering. Redfall's vampires slowly took over the small town in pretty insidious manners. The opening shows us how they bide their time, knowing that people couldn't take rounds sleeping forever, and the town barely knew what hit them until it was too late. The vampires are extremely manipulative. They use fake radio broadcasts to lure survivors into traps and spread their ideology for anyone cowardly enough to follow. The Hollow Man, the vampire god, is present on every screen you'll find throughout Redfall, constantly reminding us that there is no escape. Most vampires fully believe that they are gods, and they manage to fool a good part of humanity too. The cultists themselves aspire to become vampires, but instead get turned into blood bags, these decrepit vampires with a giant blood sack on their back who really only serve as food. Redfall's vampires loosely follow the rules we are all used to. Gunshots only stun them, and they need to be finished off with a stake through the heart. They have a weakness to fire, and they also can't deal with sunlight, which is why they caused a permanent eclipse. Redfall has 4 characters available, with 2 more available on launch day for those who have the Hero Pass. Each character seems to have a certain archetype meant for them, but they also have other skills to facilitate solo play. Despite having interesting skills, the characters' talent trees are pretty bland. They don't change how you play the game and just make your skills stronger or more useful. It's not a game where you'll be theory crafting the best build, since what you pick doesn't really matter that much. Progress also isn't shared between characters, so your choice is really important, unless you are comfortable with replaying the game multiple times. Redfall's open world is pretty seamless, aside from the loading screen when entering safe houses. But there are some performance issues. The game really struggles with frame drops. Even in closed areas with a single vampire, the game starts chugging. It runs fine a good 80% of the time, but these drops are pretty common, even on a PC above the ultra requirements. Some effects, like specific lights and fog, are also broken and look like weird lines that leak through walls. This isn't a massive issue, but it's clear to see that an area meant to look atmospheric now looks broken and awful. The vampires also happen to be quite glitchy. They sometimes zoom through a wall randomly and have to teleport back to continue fighting you. Their AI is extremely lackluster, and that also extends to human enemies, who constantly get stuck on geometry or just fail to detect the player. Redfall is completely fine played solo, but seems geared towards multiplayer. Every character has that one skill that would feel 100 times more useful in co-op. This isn't a huge issue, as these abilities are still good when playing alone, but the game is definitely intended as a chaotic multiplayer experience. I can't say I kept coming back to Redfall for its attempt at RPG loot, the story, or the characters. I came back because Redfall is a really atmospheric game with a fun gameplay loop. There's a good chance that if you enjoyed the multiplayer in games like Dead Island or Dying Light, you will enjoy Redfall.